Hello, my name is Robert Ferguson. I'm a former Board of Directors member for Carolina Adoption Services. So for my role on the Board of Directors, I just came on as a general member. It's a 3-year commitment, and the second year I became Vice President, and then continued as Vice President the third year and was acting President for a period of time while our President was out with a medical procedure. But as far as what we did for the Board of Directors, a lot of it was planning, and a lot of it was kind of looking at a year-to-year snapshot of what was going on in the agency. We were looking at how the countries that we were working with were running, and we did a lot of financial goal setting and that type of thing. And then the second thing that we did was fundraise, and we did that several different ways. The big thing we did was we had a yearly gala, which is kind of a black tie event. It was a lot of fun. We did silent auction and live auction, and we got to have children that had been adopted come, and some of the older ones would speak, but the other ones would be there with their parents enjoying the evening. And those were the primary things that we did, was planning, fundraising, and then just helping with the director there with her decision making. She would kind of say, here's 2 things that I think we should do. We can do it one way or the other. And then we would help decide what the best direction was for her and for the agency to go. So in my time working with Carolina Adoption Services, both in the process of adoption and then also on the Board of Directors, my eyes were open to the fact that they did a lot more than just provide the services for adoption, for international adoption. They do a lot of humanitarian aid in the countries that they provide adoptions through and from. And that could be anything from raising money to provide mattresses and beds for the orphanages, water systems, and a lot of things that are difficult for the actual orphanages to do on their own due to financial reasons. So initially I didn't realize that they did as much humanitarian aid as they did, and that's a big part of their whole operation. The process for international adoption started with several information seminars that the organization that we ended up using, which was Carolina Adoption Services, put on. And a lot of that's just educational, letting you know how the program worked, what countries were available, and that type of thing. And initially my wife and I had thought about doing a Chinese adoption, but at that point the program in China was running very slow. So the program coordinator that we worked with at CAS had started telling us about Russia. And as a matter of fact, she told us about Ulyanovsk, Russia, which is where we ended up adopting our son Jay. And so from the information that we got from her and the way that program was running at the time, that ended up being the direction that we went. Is that domestic adoption may be a little bit more expensive based on the fact that you provide some of the healthcare services for the mother. But as far as international adoption goes, the costs vary from country to country, and sometimes quite significantly between the countries, depending on the fees and that type of thing that each country sets. Well, as far as success stories go, I think ours is a great success. We now have a 12-year-old son named James who has been home with us since he was about 8 months old. And also through the process of starting out with the adoption process, we met several other families who now we have friends that have 3 children, 2 from Russia and 1 from Guatemala. We have another couple who has 1 child also from Russia, and really in a small circle of friends, we probably have 10 or 12 families that were all either became families through adoption or they grew their family through adoption. So with regards to the freeze on Russian adoptions, I guess personally it's very sad for me to see what this situation has become. I know maybe 10, 12 years ago, Russia was one of the largest countries as far as the number of children adopted out of the country. And I think based on my experience there are certainly children that are in need of that type of situation. I know that the number one goal for any country's orphanage is to have their children adopted within the country. But for Russia and some other countries, that just doesn't happen as much. So children end up in the orphanage system for far too long. And so international adoption is a great fit for that. But unfortunately, with the political situation as it is, it's just not happening right now. If someone asks me about adopting internationally, there's a lot of things that come to mind, and I think it's a way to open your eyes to the world. And I really got the impression, we traveled to Russia 2 times, and I got the impression while I was there that other countries really have a bigger worldview than we do here. I think our news is more localized. It's more about the United States, but if you go to other countries, it's more about the world. So I think it's an opportunity for us to grow in our understanding of what's going on in the world, and I think it's a great opportunity to bring other cultures here, and that just kind of makes us all a little bit more understanding about what's going on.